All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA DFS video. We have a small 3-game slate for the Sunday evening slate. Hopefully, you guys are doing well with any NFL lineups you put out there or early NBA lineups that you put out there. We do have some initial news. Toronto going to be a little bit banged up tonight. Yusuf Nurk going to be out for Phoenix with that, and Levine is out. Is there any starting points that you see on tonight's slate?
Yeah, just a lot of Toronto, right? Just it sucks that we're just jamming Toronto. There's just so many guys I think that are very good plays here. Starting with Scotty Barnes, no RJ Barrett. So I think Scotty probably the primary guy I'm getting a ton of exposure of.
Is his price a
Oh, we
worry to
lost
you?
you. We always lose you on the side.
Yeah.
You know that.
Is Scotty Barnes' price a worry to you at 9K and 9.3K?
It's definitely pricey, but without RJ, they're already down most of their teams. So I think it is pricey. I do like him a lot here though.
Yeah, I gotcha. I was wondering what would happen if Jonte Porter were to be out tonight. One player that I got to a little bit on the previous slate was actually Grady Dick, and now he's projected to get 23 minutes. He is someone at his price tag I think is a little bit under-owned. Now, he did get a lot of run in the last game, relatively speaking, and he didn't do as much as I would have liked with it in a blowout, but he's someone I'm kind of getting to. And then from there, I like Bruce Brown. I think he's going to hit value. Dennis, I think he's going to be safe as well.
Yeah, man.
But on a 3-game slate, I mean, we can't be too choosy anyways.
Yeah, it just seems like all these guys, we get a fantastic matchup here against Atlanta with these Toronto guys. I think the other really chalky value play is Dalen Terry on the Bulls. We can kind of segue our way to the Bulls there.
So do you like him as a play? I mean, he's really popping up on the DK value rating there. Not as much as on the FanDuel where he's a little bit higher price, but that's going to come with Patrick Williams being out and also Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I don't hate him. I don't love him either. I kind of want him to start here to really be on him as a play. 3,200, very cheap. Definitely prefer him if he starts. Just kind of around the field. I'm not too crazy. So how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Javon Carter's ownership, and I find that strange that he's that much lower owned, even though they're projected to get the same amount of minutes. The player that I was jumping on the most with that news that Williams was out was either Alex Caruso or Ao. I'm not going to butcher his last name, but I'm probably getting to Ao a little bit more just simply because he's cheaper. But really, I like Kobe White as priced. I'm a little bit shocked at his ownership as well. Everyone's okay here, but it is a low over and under, only 220.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I feel like Caruso probably benefits the most with no Patrick Williams. We do see Williams hogs some of the usage from Caruso. So I do really like Caruso. And then, all the three studs, Kobe White, DeRozan, Vucevic, I think all look fine here. You mentioned Kobe White. He's probably my favorite out of the threes, particularly in this matchup against Portland. So
my follow-up question to this would be, which player, given their price tag, because they're both kind of priced the same, do you like Alex Caruso or Bruce Brown more? Because to me, they're kind of the same player, and they're both at the same price. Bruce Brown maybe gets a little bit of a safer matchup, but which one would you have a lean towards if you had to choose?
I think Caruso's probably got the safer floor here with his steal and block upside. So I think Caruso probably safer, but with no RJ Barrett, I think Bruce Brown's minute should be pretty secure here. Obviously, Bruce Brown, very good fantasy producer, so I'm honestly fine with both of them.
Yeah, they kind of both feel safe tonight. And then other injury news, we did get news that Yusuf Nurk is going to be out for Phoenix. We have seen that occasionally. Bradley Beal is currently questionable as well. Looking at it, no one's really getting too much of an increase in usage, and I think that's just because we don't exactly know which big is going to benefit the most, and maybe it's just maybe neither of them do. We got Me Too projected to get 16.6 minutes, and Eubanks projected to get 21 minutes. And at their prices, no one wants to get there.
Yeah, Eubanks is also only center only on DraftKings, so it's kind of tougher just to get there with center only almost sub 5K. It's almost like he's priced up for Nurkic to be out on this slate.
Yeah.
So I don't love it. I actually prefer, Metu forward eligibility, 3,900. I do prefer Metu out of the two bigs here.
Is this, I'm looking at it, is this a situation where maybe we can get one of Metu, maybe KBD as a play a little bit? No, not him. I guess just one of those two, maybe even Josh Okogie, maybe he gets a little bit more run. Is it given a 3-game slate, like we're trying to find value. Like I'd be personally fine ending up on one of those three, just trying to figure out which one does seem maybe difficult.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to decipher, which one between Okogie, Bates Diop. I think they're both fun, like taking stabs at. I think I just rather play Metu for $400 more. We just know he's going to play the backup five most likely. So
Yeah. And then I don't think the comments are being pulled in here right now. So if anyone has them, apologies. Won't really be able to answer those during this video or be able to pull them up. I can look at them periodically throughout the video. But looking at Portland, it's difficult to know what to do with Portland tonight because they're so banged up. We do have projected minutes for Simons, for Brogdon, for Aiden, for Grant. So it seems like for the most part, they're going to be healthy. And looking at the game spread, I think that would suggest it as well. Like if Simons or Brogdon were to be out, I would imagine that this game would be much more of a blowout. So with that, with the little bit of uncertainty that we have, what is your kind of thoughts initially on Portland tonight?
yeah, Portland, I feel like this is the spot where it's either going to win you or lose you the slate because all these guys are very, very key to the slate. Starting out, Brogdon, I feel like probably the most likely to rest here if they do rest someone. Obviously, more of the veteran on Portland. So I'd probably Brogdon to sit out of all of them. But I got to imagine against the Bulls here with a pretty close spread, probably guys like Simon, Scoot, I expect most likely to play here.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. Like Scoot would become a pretty good play if Brogdon were to sit, and he's already someone that's been shooting the basketball a lot. And same thing with Grant. Like they both would get a pretty big bump, and I might make one build specifically just targeting Portland to be active.
Yeah, I like that a lot. They should be lower on too. They don't seem like too chalky. So
No,
definitely,
they don't, and I think
very,
that's just due to the risk that's associated with them.
definitely.
It's funny. Just quick story time. Yesterday, I stacked Charlotte and Utah.
Oh yeah,
Crushed
very
it.
good. Yeah,
Crushed it.
awesome.
I thought no, it wasn't. I
Oh,
thought
was
I
it?
was going to take down a GPP, and then a certain game had to go into double OT, and then in the first OT, I dropped from. I was in first for a while. I didn't think I was going to win first. I probably would have won third, but after the first OT, dropped from. I was at first, but like there was another game going on. It went to stayed in first, anyways, to 10th, which I'm like, oh, it's still good. And then because of the second OT, all the way down to like 50th. That was crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that was a sharp play by you. I mean, that game was very, very, very underowned. Me and Chuck talked about it last stream. Like we loved that game. So
It was just, and I'm kind of bringing that up like late night hammer. That's kind of what I was trying to get to there. But it was more just lucky. I don't want to say lucky, but it was more the lineup path worked well to stack that Charlotte Utah game. I could make it work. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get to here with Portland and Chicago. Like if I can make a good stack work with the Chicago Portland game, I will attempt to do that because, yeah, if everyone's active for Portland, they're all a little bit under-owned. Chicago's kind of higher owned. You can eat the chalk there, but it's a 3-game slate. Like that's still going to be unique.
yeah, right there with you. Seems like a very sneaky game to stack. So I like that call.
Yeah. And then so we can kind of just do somewhat game by game. Are you fine with that?
Yeah, let's go one more. The Hawks. I think DeJounte Murray just like a couple minutes ago got ruled as downgraded to questionable. So let's go with that.
All right. So yeah, looking at the Hawks, instantly my first thought would be Trae Young would be a better play, and Bogdanovich. We've kind of seen this the other way with Trae Young being out. What would your initial thoughts be there?
Yep, right there with you. Trae Young, 9,700. Fantastic run back here. Either way, even if DeJounte plays. But if he's out, man, Trae Young probably the safest spend up on the board at 9,700 here. And he's not on a minutes limit. So that's huge, huge news for Trae there. And then, yeah, you mentioned Bogdanovich, sub 6K, been kind of up and down shooting, but I think you look pretty solid here at 6K as well with no Murray.
My question, and that's the early game, so we'll know. I think I like attacking Toronto as well. My question would be, how chalky would we get if we did get news that Murray is out? Because I feel like everyone would just be playing Bogdanovich because, well, he finally had a good game against Dallas, and that was a game in which he only had 27 minutes because Trae Young was active in that game. The previous games, he's been a letdown with the minutes, but do you think he'd be one of the chalkiest plays, if not the chalkiest play, or kind of what are your thoughts there? Because I'm wondering if we should maybe think about fading. I don't think so if we get that Murray news.
Yeah, I think he should be pretty chalky if Murray's rolled out. We're obviously going to have that news before the game, so that's pretty much sub 6K. It seems too cheap for Boggy here. So yeah, probably chalky.
It is. We should have that news before lineup lock. I remember at the start of the season, like there was like 4 nights in a row. It seemed like where the news broke right after lineup lock about someone sitting. So
And then
we
NBA
better, right?
came in, and then Cade Cunningham today got rolled out 10 minutes after lock.
Yes,
Man,
yes, you're
what is
right.
that doing?
It's NFL. Honestly, I think that's what it has to do. I don't know. It's weird. It was actually nice for like, who was it? Oh, Toronto. When who got ruled out for Toronto again? I'm drawing a blank right now.
RJ Barrett?
Yeah. When or doubtful, whatever.
Yeah.
When he got ruled out on like prize picks, I was able to load up on Gary Trent and also Scotty Barnes for over their points, rebounds, and assists, and they were slow too. So it's a weird day. I think it's just NFL volume right now.
Yeah. Prize Picks 2 was down for a little bit. I was kind of mad. I was trying to get my NBA slips in, and they were
I need to look how he's doing. I was trying to get Andrew Nembhard because I still had the CMC free square. I was trying to do Nembhard fantasy score with that, and I need to look right now to see what he's doing because I'm going to be so mad if he's getting the over fantasy score.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that game should be really good to target as well. I feel like those 2 games, we'll get into the Phoenix game, but I just feel like these 2 games are just so much better to target for fantasy.
Yeah, so let's start out with that first game. So we got Atlanta versus Toronto. Kind of looking at it, obviously, if we get that DeJounte Murray news being ruled out, what would the lineup process be? Would it be Trae Young, Bogdanovich, and then probably just loading up on Scotty Barnes, maybe Thad Young? Kind of what would your process be if we do get that news?
Yeah, definitely Trae, DeJounte. I will mention Sadiq Bey. I don't love the price here, 5,700. I know we're not in Forge yet, but I wanted to throw him out there. Don't love him, but I think he'd look a little bit better with no DeJounte. And then guys like Trent Forrest and what's the other guy down there? The other scrub. Like you can maybe take a stab in 150. Like maybe they start and hit like 5 threes, but I don't love it.
I'll say, like, I'm always a sucker for Jordan Nwora just because when he gets on the court, he's going to shoot. And we do have him projected for 10-plus minutes. That's kind of my rule with him. It's like, all right, if he isn't projected for minutes, if he's not getting a projection, I can't be on him. But he's min price. Maybe the game's a little bit more of a blowout. Maybe it's 15 minutes and maybe gets 7 shot attempts up in those 15 minutes or so. Like, that could be enough at the minimum price. I would much rather get to Grady Dick, who I feel like is a little bit safer. But, like, it's a 3-game slate. Like, I don't think that's a terrible play. It's not great, but it's not like egregiously bad.
I think there's a possibility Grady Dick could start too. Probably not likely, but with no RJ, he got recalled from the G League side. Gotta imagine that he could potentially at least play a little bit if he doesn't start.
Yeah, I mean in the last game, 21 minutes, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and that was just with them being slightly banged up. Now with RJ Barrett being out, that's also probably an extra bump in minutes. And in that game, he was projected to get, I think it was like 12, but the game blew out, so he obviously ended up getting a little bit more, 21 minutes there. So they don't mind getting him in minutes. What about if Murray is out? Would we be looking at maybe a little bit of Patty Mills? We have seen it in the past. He has been someone that has gotten an increase in minutes in a situation with Trae Young being out. Is he someone we could be looking at min price at all?
Yeah, maybe in like 150 or taking a stab.
Yeah.
He's just one of those 3-point shooters. Like he hits a couple threes, he'll get there, but don't love relying on that.
Yeah, I got you. It's three game slate. We can kind of check all the boxes here.
Yeah, definitely.
But I am actually very curious. So with Toronto, with their bigs, I have a tough time paying up for Thad Young at 5K and chalky Thad Young. Jonte Porter at 4K, not being chalky, is someone interesting. Boucher is someone that's projected to get 18 minutes, 32% ownership. I guess, how do you feel about those bigs for Toronto? Because obviously Jakob Poeltl is out as well. So do you like any one of them, or are you just kind of fine with them? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I don't love the prize for Thad Young, but he is pretty solid fantasy producer. Not a great matchup against Atlanta, but it should be up tempo. So I do like Thad. I think he's fine. And then with Jonte Porter, I get him as like a leverage play. I just think if Thad starts here, he's just way safer 4 minutes and a pretty good matchup. So I'll probably just get more Thad, but he's chalky.
So I didn't see why Porter didn't get minutes against Memphis, but I know in the last game against the Clippers, he had that eye contusion, so he only played 4 minutes. And I don't know if the two go hand in hand. Like he could have played more, but Thad Young was playing well. Like they didn't need him to come back in. But if that, I could easily see that flipping. So I do think it's an okay leverage play to your point about potentially gaining leverage. But at the same time, looking at the minutes, it does seem to be maybe a little thin as well.
Agreed.
So yeah, let's go ahead and then jump on into that other early game. We got Phoenix versus Orlando. So again, we got news that Yusuf Nurk is going to be out. We are waiting on news to see if Bradley Beal will play. Good thing is we will get that news. So looking at this, let's kind of start with Orlando because we haven't touched on them at all. Banchero finally had a good game. Shout out to whoever was in the comment section on the last live stream where Orlando was playing. You kind of mentioned him against Portland or against Memphis that ended up working out. Is he someone you'd be fine paying up with, or maybe Wagner? Is there anyone here that you're liking for Orlando?
With them fully healthy at the forward position, both of them fine tournament plays as they always are. Don't love either one, but if you're getting to them, it's fine. I think I'd just rather play these other two games with the other studs here.
Yeah, it's just with everyone healthy for Orlando, they all just feel a little bit too thin. I think it was maybe Nick was calling out Wendell Carter as a good kind of leverage play on the last slate, but now he's priced up as well. So I agree with you there. Let's go ahead and jump into Phoenix on the other side of that game. If we get news that Bradley Beal is indeed out, is that a spot where like maybe instead of Trae Young being like a lock and they'll play with Murray out potentially, maybe we can pivot to Booker, maybe Durant, maybe Grayson Allen, who's been very good in that regard. We got Eric Gordon back. Like, what would happen if we get news that Bradley Beal's out?
Yeah, first of all, I think, D-Book and KD would really like them in tournaments. Obviously, Orlando, not the best matchup, but without Beal, man, the usage should concentrate on both Booker and KD here. Probably prefer Booker. He's been incredible, man. Huge games recently. So would love D-Book here. And then guys like Eric Gordon off the bench, Grayson Allen, I think they slightly get a little bit of a usage bump here. So I think Eric Gordon, if he starts, would be pretty good value here, 4,700 as well.
Yeah, we saw this early on in the season when Bradley Beal wasn't playing that much, or Booker for that matter. He was playing extremely well. So maybe he gets hot again. But at the same time, it has been more of Grayson Allen lately, but Grayson Allen is higher price. So it's kind of got to deal with that.
Yeah. I got Grayson Allen right one time, and then I don't think I can ever play him again. I'll just jinx him if I play him again. So
he is like the cover boy for like shoulder shrug plays because this season I've been able to end up on him a decent amount, but he's never someone like you're going out of your way to target because he's normally correctly priced. He's just like a safe play basically every slate, and if Beal's out again, like he probably will be a safe play, but he's annoying in that regard. It's they correctly price him seemingly.
Agreed.
Then you mentioned Metu as a decent kind of flyer play as well. But yeah, I think we're good to go ahead and move on into that late night game. So let's start out with talking about Chicago. Now, this game is an ugly game on paper compared to the other two. 220 is the over and under, 6.5 point spread in favor of the Bulls winning. I know we already mentioned this, but with Patrick Williams out and then with also Zach LaVine out, who are you looking at for the Bulls?
Yeah, so we kind of briefly mentioned Caruso and White. Those two, kind of the guys sticking out to me the most. Particularly, Alex Caruso here at 5,600, been very, very consistent recently. So like him, and then guys like DeMar, I think power forward's pretty bad here. So I think he's pretty safe. Pretty safe play at 7,700. Great spot. And then we mentioned Dalen Terry. Don't love the ownership, but if he starts here, he's a pretty solid fantasy producer. So wouldn't mind him as value as well.
Yeah, and I really like on DraftKings where he's multiple position eligibility, but it is funny. Like FanDuel, you can get him on shooting guard. DraftKings, it's just forward eligibility. It's just this inconsistency there, right?
Weird. He's a power. I don't know. I think he's a power forward. I think DraftKings has it right. I don't know why FanDuel has him as a shooting guard.
I think he started the season listed as a shooting guard, and then with Patrick Williams being out and whatnot lately, that's what's been happening. I think, but I could be completely wrong.
Right it's kind of weird. Different positions on both sides.
Yeah. So I'm seeing a lot of ownership for Chicago, and that just could be early news, like us getting the early news that Patrick Williams is out. Obviously, again, if DeJounte Murray is out, maybe the ownership shifts. But is there anyone here that's maybe you'd want to fade, or is this a situation where you're fine ending up on at least 4 on DraftKings and maybe maxing out on FanDuel?
Yeah, I think I probably want to max 2 out of the 3 studs here for Chicago. If I do have 2, I probably want to run it back with probably one of Scooter Simons too, just because I think most likely Chicago is pushing the pace. We need Portland to really push it back, or else this game will blow out. So
Yeah.
yeah, probably. I prefer Kobe White and DeRozan out of the 3 subs with Vooch. But how about you? Who do you prefer?
Yeah, I mean, I like Caruso at his price tag. Vooch, just because he's like one of the better center plays, if not the best center play on the slate. Like he's easier to get to, and then Kobe White as well. Like to me, DeMar DeRozan's one I could kind of talk myself off of, but feels safe as well. We know DeRozan doesn't have the highest ceiling as like anyone else, and I guess to kind of pivot off of that, like with Portland, I would rather get to Jeremy Grant, especially if one of Simons, Brogdon, or even Scoot were out, and because his usage, his volume goes up a lot more.
Yeah, agreed. And he was on a pretty big tear. He had a couple of games north of 35 DraftKings points. So yeah, if one of Simons and Scoots hit, he should be the primary guy there. So I like that goal.
And then what if he sits though? Is it just load up on Jabari Walker? Then I guess like that's the issue is that we have. It's like we were preparing for a bunch of unknowns because Walker's currently questionable as well, and then DeAndre Ayton is someone like who would really become a great play if Grant and Walker are out. So I guess I know it's tough, but like how would you go about operating this slate? I guess just give me a few if then statements if you have any there, because like for me again, like if Grant and Walker out, I would want to load up on Aiden and probably get a little bit of Reith. But kind of what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, Grant Walker. Yeah, they said DeAndre Ayton, I agree, would look pretty good at 6,900, and he's honestly the past 2 games he's been kind of the main guy there. So I'd probably prefer him to Vooch if both those guys hits.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shaden Sharp is also out for Portland. So if Simons and Scoot both hit, like I'm trying to think, they have Thibault. He's not a true guard.
No.
Like who else do they have? Like they have what's his face? Do they still have Skylar Mays on the team?
Skylar Mays, let's see here. It's
Nope.
not showing him on there, so I would guess no.
Yeah, so they'd be very depleted if all those guys hit. And that would probably lower my interest on Chicago studs too.
You're right. Just more blowout risk. Maybe only 2 of the 3 studs get there. That would make sense. I don't want to have to deal with playing Kamara. I'll tell you that much. That guy's annoying.
He'll play through blowout though. That's the thing is we know if he starts, he'll also play through blowout. So I think in terms of forwards, I could call with him. He would be probably safe to get for 20 DraftKings points. Not much.
It's just not sexy. That's
no upside.
And then just looking at the guards in this game again, we don't know what's going to happen, but I think we can kind of accurately prepare if one of the guards sits, and between Brogdon, Scoot, and Simons, we're playing one of the other 2, if not both of them. But what happens if they all 3 play? Who would you want to get to the most?
So this is tough because Brogdon and Simons, they've kind of alternated. Who has the bigger game here? Point per dollar, I think I'd probably still go Simons. I still think like when these guys are closely priced, Simons and Brogdon, I think Simons still has the bigger ceiling. So probably Simons, but Brogdon, fine tournament play is priced up now though.
Yeah, he feels kind of safe, honestly, Brogdon at his price tag. But it's Simons definitely has the higher ceiling. Like we have seen that a bunch. It's tough. It's an ugly game. It's a low scoring game as well. But at the same time, they're kind of cheap.
And Scoot is just going to chuck. He'll make like 1/4 of his shots, but he's just going to go out there and shoot. So he's always in play because he can hit them.
Yeah, and he's low owned right now as he probably should be, but he's someone that with the late night potential news that could really become a late night hammer there. If maybe Brogdon and Simons are both ruled out, like then it becomes real crazy. Scoot becomes a massively great play.
Agreed.
But I'm gonna just pull up the live stream on my phone here, see if we have any questions coming in. Unless you got it pulled up as well. I can't pull them up on video right now.
The douche just asked, is Alzabuki active for Phoenix? That's a really good question. We were kind of talked about that. We didn't cover him. Let me check if he's on the roster.
Yeah, I'm going to refresh the data on my end just to see if he's pulling in. So basically when we don't touch on someone, it's because they're not projected to get 10 plus minutes. And so still not getting that.
And then also we did get news that DeJounte Murray is officially ruled out.
Is he? Yep.
So fire Trae Young, fire Bogdanovich. It's Atlanta time.
Yeah, so let's just touch on that again here. We got, obviously it's 3-game slate. We got a lot to touch on here. I see someone said Nembhard is at 24 on FanDuel. Very good. So Trae Young. So the question again becomes, if we get news that Bradley Beal is out, who would you rather be on, Booker or KD or Trae Young? Who tonight would you feel better about?
I think in the matchup without DeJounte, probably Trae Young for me, but Booker, really good play as well. So probably Trae, Booker, KD in that order for me.
I would agree there. Priority wise, would Bogdanovich be number one? Is he number one or no?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be really tough for me to avoid him. 6K on a 3-game slate and a pretty good matchup and a high total. Yeah, probably a good chunk of boggy for me.
And I just want to see if the data updated just yet. Value wise, it says Terry, Jalen Johnson, Young. So no, it hasn't exactly updated just yet. I don't think, but that'd be something interesting to note.
Let's cover Jalen real quick because he's been kind of up and down. He was pretty much a very steady producer this beginning of the season, but yeah, so I'm fine with him. 7K or 7.5K seems priced right, but no Murray should see more usage here. So I think it's a good play.
And I like the matchup against Toronto. Like they've become a matchup that I want to target after the trade. So yeah, I can get there.
I think I prefer him to DeRozan in terms of I think this game most likely stays closer.
I agree. I wouldn't even say like he's pretty low owned, wasn't he? In comparison, I kind of just want to see.
Yeah, DeRozan's chalk. He's like 40%, or not, maybe not that high, but pretty chalky.
Yeah, you're right. So about a 10% difference there. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and then the model loves him too. I feel like there's a couple guys the model always likes: Brook Lopez, Jalen Johnson. Who else are we missing?
I mean, and last year there's a bunch of random names where it's been very good this year in terms of plays like Jalen Johnson and Brook Lopez. Like when they've been on there, they've actually done pretty well, especially when they've been low owned. Like you wouldn't think they would do well. Like that's been pretty good leverage.
Yeah, agreed.
I do think it's interesting. Like I don't want to play Jeremy Grant, but like I just think that's a great pivot potentially if we get that news. Like if you play DeMar DeRozan in a build and then we get news that some of the Portland players are out, Grant could be a good pivot, even though he's $500 cheaper.
Right, completely agree. And just having that late swap should be pretty key.
So I mentioned with that Charlotte Utah game that I stacked, I only did one like single entry with that. I should have done another single entry off of that build, and then I had a better pivot I could have made. That's what I'm going to do tonight with Grant and DeRozan. I think it's just have both of them.
I like it.
Yeah. But yeah, let's go on and get into a lineup process here. So obviously with the Murray news, that does kind of change maybe the lineup process a little bit than it would have been at the start of the day. Just refreshing the data here, but are we loading up on Atlanta versus Toronto? If so, kind of who do you think are starting points on the slate?
I'm gonna say Trae Young probably for me now. I know he's not going to be super chalk. He should be chalkier now. But I think with no DeJounte at 9.7K, I really like Trae.
I agree. And going against Toronto, I do like that as well. We know he has huge upside. He's still a little bit concerning in terms of safety, but I think he's the correct play.
Probably a couple of the Toronto guys here. Do you have any favorites?
Yes. I mean, I do like Grady Dick as a value. That's kind of my leverage spot today. Thad Young, I'm fine with, but I don't know if I exactly want to get there. I actually kind of like Dennis probably the most, but like if you wanted to go Barnes at small forward, I would get that as well. Like, I don't know if there's a wrong answer with Toronto, I guess is the best way to sum it up. Yeah,
let's plug in Dennis. I think he should start tonight with no RJ here. So unless Grady Dick starts, but I think even if Dennis doesn't start, it should be really good play.
Yeah, and I don't want to use the small game as a sample size, but going against the Clippers, it was somewhat similar. Now RJ Barrett is also off the court, and he had a good game in that game. I mean, 1 block and 2 steals. You can't depend on that the whole time. But if he gets a couple more minutes in this game, it just at that price tag, I think that's good. But like, would you rather play him over Bogdanovich, who's a little bit more expensive?
I think I'm probably just gonna play both, man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, let's do that then.
Augie's shooting guard eligible, so
Yeah, we'll do that then.
I feel like this is probably pretty good guard core. Probably be pretty chalky, but they're good plays.
I mean, it's a 3-game slate. Everyone should be somewhat chalk.
Mm-hmm.
But then from there, like small forward wise, Scotty Barnes, DeMar DeRozan eat that chalk, maybe potentially Grant. We got Wagner. Bruce Brown feels like a safe play. We got Bay. Maybe Grayson Allen if we get Beal news. We got Grady Dick as a value. Maybe Matthias Thybulle if a lot of the Portland plays are out. I mean, I could be talked into a decent amount of these plays, but which one do you like the most?
I hate saying it because I feel like I'm eating all the chalk, but Scotty Barnes at 9K. I know it's pricey, but I love the mini game stop with Trey and Scotty here with no RJ.
I mean, that's fine. We're going to have to probably get a little bit unique with our build. Average salary of 4.9 left over, but I do think we have enough logical value plays that we can make that work. So the only issue that I would have is that we're fading Nurkic and maybe Aiden, or I don't know what, Vucevic, sorry, and maybe Aiden, both in decent spots, but it's a decent way to get unique as well.
Yeah, let's go on the second build. We can go heavier on the Chicago Portland. Chicago Portland.
That's fine. So power forward wise, are we just ending up on center wise, are we just ended up on Thad Young then?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I just prefer him to Eubanks. I don't know. Eubanks just minutes are very unsecure. So.
Yeah. So I'm going to plug in Terry because he's like the value play to play,
I like it.
And then we'll go Young. And then we have a lot of salary left over somewhat to fill out the rest of it. Forward utility, 5.7 on average. I mean, we could go Jalen Johnson or something like that. We could go Aiden Still. Like, we have enough. Alex Caruso is a play that we both liked. Bruce Brown. Heck, could we go Caruso and Bruce Brown?
I think so.
Let's do that. Yeah. Look at that.
That's a great build. You're just fully game stacking the first, which I think is fun.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense too. Like, it's a very logical game stack. Maybe a tiny bit too much Toronto, but I don't really think so.
They're down RJ and quickly, so I mean they're very depleted.
Yeah.
You would also throw in Grady Dick. I think is he 35? Should we throw in Grady? Can we? Maybe not. Because Scotty is a power forward.
Yeah. If Bruce Brown was a power forward, we could.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously he's not. But
that's a good build. I like that.
Yeah. So did you want to try one without Scotty and maybe I don't know. I don't know who the pivot. I like this is a good logical stack.
Let's go your Jeremy Grant Cole because I like that. Let's go more Chicago Portland heavy on this one.
Yeah, I like that. So let me just clear this out then. And so we'll start with kind of the Chicago chalk, if that makes sense. So like Vooch, DeMar, Kobe White, and Caruso. Is that, I mean, or Terry, I guess?
Yeah, all of them are fine to me. I don't really have strong standing, Vooch in a great spot. Kobe, obviously, I like. And then DeMar is just kind of, if you get there, you get there. Don't let it hit it.
So let's leave DeMar off. And I think we just go then Vooch, White. Probably Vooch in the center spot. And then Terry, is that fine?
Yeah, it's fine. Especially if we're not getting DeRozan, I like that.
Yeah. And then this is the tough part. Like Aiden, I feel like we would have to play in this example of a build if we are trying to target this game a little bit more, just because we know he's going to play.
Yeah, and then if all those guys are a whole league, even better. So yeah.
And then as it sits right now, you mentioned you like Simon's a little bit better in terms of upside than Brogdon.
Yeah, I don't think either one's a priority, but yeah, probably in terms of outside, probably Simon.
But would you still rather get to maybe some of the Toronto plays like Trae Young and Bogdanovich?
Probably Trae Young and Bogdanovich, I would say. Okay. Yeah.
Let's see if that works.
I don't know if we can fit all of that, but
no, not exactly, but not terrible. I mean, in terms of salary, like we could go down. There'd be enough pivots, I guess, is the best way to explain it. Like we could easily go Aiden to center and then maybe pivot to some of the Portland value. And that's kind of the point. It's that, we want to be able to properly pivot if that news breaks for Portland.
Yeah, and this is definitely like a high risk approach with Portland here because they're, uncertainty with all of them. So
exactly. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. I don't know, like the pivots I think right now would be to go Aiden instead of Vooch, and then maybe a value somewhere. But
Yeah, that'd be
good. I don't know if we need to explain that though.
Yeah.
I'm keeping refreshing the data here just to see if we're getting more kind of updates on ownership and whatnot. All right, so Scotty Barnes still chalk, Dennis Schroeder still chalk, Bruce Brown chalk, Trae Young now getting more chalky. Gary Trent Jr. Some that we didn't mention. He to me is the epitome of a stroll of the shark play. Like I don't need to go out of my way to play him. If I end up on him to close out my build, I'm more than happy to. Do you have any thoughts on him tonight?
Yeah, sorry, who'd you say?
No, yeah, Gary Trent Jr. 39 and 60% owned on both sides. Pretty high owned.
Yeah, he's fine. 5K, like no RJ Barrett should look better here. Just like very shooting reliant with him. Does get some assists, but he's one of the guys I was kind of not as high as the field was. Just I never like him when he's chalk. But it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does. But yeah, to your point, he is one of those like guys that are chalk that I just don't like to play, especially now his price is starting to get up there. But I guess he's kind of in the same tier almost as Caruso, Bruce Brown tonight, where safe enough.
I think I'd rather just get up to guys like Bruce Brown and Caruso. I think their floors are way safer, and I think I'd argue their ceilings are higher too.
I agree for sure, but like I don't like. Would you change your build if you couldn't get to Caruso or Bruce Brown? Because Gary Trent's a little bit cheaper.
No, I don't think I'd change it. But if you had the salary, I would just get up to him.
Yeah. I agree. So I'm going to give a quick plug to the Discord chat. I believe you're in there tonight.
Yeah,
right?
Going back to that.
So yeah, guys, as a lot of you know, the Discord goes live pretty much right after this video or just 30 minutes before lineup lock. So JR's going to be in there right after this video. He's going to be jumping in there. Allow him a few minutes before he starts. But yeah, the link to join is going to be in the description below. Definitely check that out. We're going to give you guys our closing thoughts on the slate, and then we're going to be getting out of here.
Sounds good. Did you have any? I think for me, it's just going to be loading up on, the Toronto game. I know I'm chalky. I'll probably get low on with Portland guys, but
yeah, I believe we just got confirmation that Bradley Beal is going to play.
Okay.
So thankfully that kind of helps us out tonight. We have that one less headache to deal with.
Yeah.
But that's great actually. That makes tonight's slate a lot easier. So you can potentially get that leverage in that Portland game, but it does also feel safe to load up on the early game.
Real quick, did want to go through. We just got the starting lineup for Toronto. So we have Schroeder, Bruce Brown, Gary Trent, Scotty Barnes at the 4, Thad Young at the 5.
Yeah, so Scotty Barnes at the 4. I don't exactly love that, but at the same time, he is still going to be the guy. I don't know. Would it be surprising if Jalen Johnson scores more than Scotty Barnes tonight?
Yeah, definitely could happen, right? 1,500 price difference, so could happen for sure.
My closing thought is just how easy of a build would it be on DraftKings if we could play Scotty Barnes at power forward tonight. I think that'd make it much more simple, but oh well.
Very much so.
All right, everyone, that is going to be it. Be in here tomorrow at the normal time. I do appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel as well.
Thank you, guys. Good luck.